Grab your popcorn, kick back and relax, because it's time for some more Karnage. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at the right shields on Rogue. So in this case, these buildings here are cannons. So I'll zoom out a little bit. Yeah, so these are cannons. Sometimes you get rockets. If they're rockets, you don't want to be trying to take out the right shields or the left shields. In those cases, you want to go straight up the top. But seeing as they're not rockets, you can go after the left or the right. Whichever one you go for is really personal preference. But we're going to go right shields. So in this particular hit, we're going to be showing how to do it with all Zukas. Now you may have seen before I pressed view attack that there was Everspark. Everspark is used towards the end, really just for her passive ability, so these cannons don't take out so many Zukas. It's not really needed. Also, her passive ability can take out some mines for us and stuff. So we've seen one barrage placed closer to the power cells just to take out as many of those shock mines as possible without damaging any of the rockets. Damaging the lasers is fine. That's perfectly okay. One artillery to take out those other shock mines. And another one just to mark this, what's it called? This, laser beam. And also take out some shock mines at the same time. So, you're going to see some of these cells are going to be taken out. Now you can see we're flaring down towards the beach. So all our Zukas are going to start grouping up here. And as we get closer, I am going to half times this. And I'm going to look at the flare placement. Now the flare placement will be the middle tile of the second laser towards the left. So we just seen that pressed there. And you can see where they're positioned. Now in my opinion, he should have waited until those Zukas were a little closer up. To be perfectly honest, I don't understand why they took such a tight path. I would have thought they would have went to the left and the right. But it is what it is. So that flare placement, the middle tile of that second laser beam. So he's going to start smoking up. Again, kind of shocked that they went for such a tight path given the circumstances. But it is what it is. So as he gets closer, I'm going to have to start half timesing this. You're going to see another flare. So we just seen that. So as they're walking towards the last tile of the power cell, that was when the that flare was placed, and it was placed in between the middle laser beams, closest towards the beach. So it was like that tile in front of them. So the reason for that is now they're in the middle, and we're gonna have equal range on both of the lasers on the outside. Now the important part of this will be the shock timing. So we're going to be shocking this rocket and that rocket launcher. No, not, yeah, okay. It says the name of the rocket launcher, that's not the one I'm pressing. So it's the line of rockets next with this damage amp. So the one on the left and the one on the right. That's what I was trying to show on screen. So, yeah, we're going to be placing two shocks, one on each. And just so it gets the laser beams and the rockets. So, I'm going to have to half times this so I can show you guys the press. We're going to see some critter boxes behind us probably. So you guys just seen the press. That's not important. We're not protecting ourselves from the boom cannons there. That's literally just to get the shock mines. I think I may have missed the press. Okay, no I didn't. So you guys just seen the press there. I will probably have to go back because I feel like I was a tad late on pressing the pause button there. But that one we weren't. So you guys seen roughly the timing there. It was sort of like late 11 o'clock. So because of where we placed the barrage, the rockets didn't really get damaged. You guys seen that these other two were caught. Now I'm going to have to keep this in half times, unfortunately. But you can see those two lasers on the outside go down. Now the next press will be... Oh, I missed that press. Okay. But yeah, that next press you guys seen, it was on the damage amp. So that'll get everything now, because how we marked the buildings and got them damaged meant that they went after the lasers we needed first, so that we conclude everything in one shock. Shocking again, which, to be perfectly honest, was probably late 11 o'clock, but I will go back and I will look at that anyway. So placing a flare just to sort of get everything, because we don't really want to be shocking more than once if we can avoid it. Looks like we're going to have to, though. Yep, figured. So we're going to see it go down right about now, going to 1 times just to get this sort of attack over with. Flaring back. At this point, you're going to see Everspark drop just for her passive, and sort of keeping some of our Zookas alive. And flaring that one just to sort of get them in the position we needed. They're going to start taking some boom cannons out, and then we're just going to let them sort of go where they want to go. We're probably going to flare back a little bit towards this corner, or not. Nope. Okay, but they get the shields. So the important thing here is all the spare GBE we spent barraging and artillerying that rocket that was on the corner here, which makes the next hitter's job a lot easier. So we'll press play again, and we will try to capture the exact timing on those shocks, because I wasn't 100% satisfied with my job on that first time when we watched it. So we will go through it and we will look at that once more. So I'm going to try to pause it exactly the right moment. So we're going to half times. So we seen the one on the right was pressed first, and then the one on the left. So I know it was about 11. There we go. So we just seen it. So that timing was a little better. So 11 o'clock was definitely the timing for the first shock, and then the one on the second one. So he used the delay on that a little, not as much as he could have, but you know, he got away with it as much as he really should have been. So the next one is going to be in the middle, I would say, and I'm just pausing this just so I can sort of capture the press. I think I missed it again. Yep. So we just got the press on that. I sort of felt like I seen something there. So you guys can see the timing on the one on the right. Sorry, the one on the left and the one on the right. So it looks like he's going to be capitalizing, not on the delay a little bit, but it'll take a little bit of time before they start shooting, which is why. So I'd say that was like, what, 10:30ish, thereabouts. So you guys can see he did capitalize on that just a tad. But that's the timing on the reshock. So lucky for me, I paused it when I did, because I felt like I seen something. But it's so hard to see the press when all the shock graphics are sort of going off at the same time. So anyway guys, that's been an attack. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will include, after this, I will edit in an attack with brick, which uses taunt, so you won't see any shocks. And then after that's done, I might do my outro, I might not. And then I'll sort of call it a day, because I'm going to sort of edit some stuff together for you guys, rather than me upload this into separate videos. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll leave you guys with the AZ and brick hit on the right shields, which is a slightly different approach, which is more efficient than this method, in my opinion. Okay guys, so we're going to look at Bullet and AZ for Rogue on the right shields. So that was a 6-4 GBE troop damage ratio on a full boost. So 2 barrages on the shock mines takes out the vast majority of the shock mines. So that's what you want. It doesn't matter what gets damaged here. The focus really is just taking out the mines. You'll see why I say that in just a minute. So I believe that's the only part of this attack that really matters at the start. It was, okay. So a pretty standard landing right now. I will half time so you guys can see the flare placement, but it doesn't really it doesn't really matter. Let's see, it should be happening any moment now, as most of the Zukas start gathering up, probably about half of them, yep. Okay, so we seen that placement there. That was actually for a smoke, but the flare placement is exactly the same place. And when the smoke goes down, it's going to be near impossible to see that press. So, okay, so you just seen it there, but it sort of wasn't 100% clear. So it was the right side of the middle power cell is where that flare is going to land, which is the important part here. So now our next flare is going to be pretty much the same location, but sort of towards the laser. This one was the left side of the third power cell. So you guys seen the press, so you guys can see where it lands. If it's easier for you guys to sort of use as a visual guide, you guys can use the second laser, the very far right tile, to sort of line that up with if it makes it easier. So because about half of the pack had sort of grouped up around that flare, it meant we didn't lose the grouping at all, and they're going to take a nice tight path because they're pretty much in line with where they are. So it means they're going to walk perfectly down the center here, which is really nice grouping. So as they get closer, this is the one thing I would say to do different. You see he's placed this smoke, and now he's going to place 2 more at the kill spot, where that flare is. In my opinion, I would have dropped all 3 at the same time, and you'll see why I say that in just a second. So the smokes just pressed now, so Bullet had a bit of a delayed landing. You guys don't have to do that 100%. I probably would have dropped him sort of as I started flaring up. That's how I would have done it. But, you know, you guys do you, I guess. So, because he didn't drop all 3 at the same time, it means when he reflares, because of how far forward these smokes were placed, it means they're going to spread a little bit backwards because there's not really much room for them to sit. So if he doesn't time the reflare perfectly, because we're going to want them to everything to sort of sit in between the 4 lasers. This is going to mean that when Bullet taunts, it means that all 4 of the lasers are going to be taunted and are going to go after Bullet, and that's the key point here. We're not going to be using any shocks whatsoever. So, or well, yeah, not anything on this main stuff anyway. So, I will try to capture the press where we reflare, but it's going to be pretty late. I think it's about 11 o'clock. The timing on this, although I probably won't be able to see it given all the smoke, it's not super important. As long as you reflare as most of your troops are up, sort of sitting like around the flare, it's not going to matter too much. And if you drop all 3 of those last smokes at the same time, it really doesn't, the exact timing doesn't have to be perfect. So I will try to get that press. Looks like it's going to be about now, I think. We'll see if I can get the flare placement. So the flare hasn't been dropped yet, but it will be in a second. Yeah, okay. So that was the timing. So I got that right. So you can see Bullet was walking into that second last power cell as it was pressed. So if you guys want to use that as the exact timing, you can, but not the biggest deal. So that reflare is going, as I said, is going to allow everything to sort of sit in the middle. Now, to get some separation, we've just seen the press on this rocket launcher here, as everything was sort of gathering up under that flare. So Bullet really just got to that flare, which is, as I said, the timing doesn't have to be too spot on, but you can use that as a guide if you really want to. So that flare lands on the rocket, and the key part of this, you can see Bullet is now getting separation from the Zukas. It is in front of the lasers, which is another key point. No rockets in the middle here to deal with, which means this right shield hit becomes a viable thing if you want to do it as your opening hit. And as this sort of comes out of the smoke, Bullet gets taunted, all the rockets get taunted, all the lasers get taunted, which means we don't have to shock anything, and everything is going to go after Bullet, nothing is going to hurt our Zookas because our Zookas will be safe. The only thing to note is you have to taunt before taunt ends. Excuse me. So if you want to practice that on NPC bases, you can. The two ways I would be doing it is either count to 8 or use the attack counter, the attack on the top of the screen there, and you can see it counting down. You guys can use that if you want. So he used 3 taunts in this attack. Now this was actually done on dead end, so the building health was a bit lower, so it's only 400%. But you guys sort of get the gist of it. If it was Forlorn Hope, we may have had to drop a 4th taunt. I seriously doubt we would have needed a 4th taunt, but maybe. But that would have really been the only difference. So flaring back, again, the flare placement doesn't have to be perfect. I believe I didn't mention that as we reflared for bullet there, you may have noticed that some critter boxes were dropped behind, which got some shock mines. We used the critter boxes to take out the shock mines, not barrages or artilleries, because we don't want to spend too much GBE taking out other stuff, because we're going to be using it to take out lasers or rockets. It's really, at this point, take your pick. I'm not sure why they went after the laser. Personally speaking, I would have went... Like, I know the bulk of people will choose a right path when they take the right shields. So keep in mind here, it's really just placing the Zookas in a spot where they can take out these, spread out, naturally take these out. You can re-flare to where this boom cannon is at the end if you want, but you don't really have to. Anyway, so you can take out stuff that's basically in range of that. Now, because he's taken out the right shields, most people will take a path where they walk through, sort of like they can flank around because it's cheaper, but what I would personally do is take a left path and go here, just so I would have avoided that laser, you know, and you can flare up the top like you normally do for the core hit, take some stuff out, whatever. I'm guessing maybe he did that because Everspark, as she hacks, may have gotten range of it and killed some Zookas. So a little bit unlucky with the prototype, but you'll see he's going to take out a lot of power cells, so we will go 4 times here just to sort of end the attack. You'll see all this stuff going down, taking out some power cells now, and he's going to wind up taking out a lot of cells. So flaring in that corner. Really, that flare doesn't have to be too spot on. It's really just so the Zookas will spread and take out a lot. But there is an artillery cost reduction tribe right now, so that's why he had enough really to take out a laser level 2 and a rocket, then barrage this one halfway out, and then critter box some more mines. So a pretty crazy attack in my opinion. So pretty good stuff. Managed to take out a lot of threats behind the core there. Well, actually, I think that's technically in front of the core. But that's what you want to do. With all your remaining GBE, you want to take out that stuff. So whoever goes for the core hit doesn't have as much stuff to deal with. Because dealing with that stuff in front of the core can be a real pain. It can make you spend a lot more on GBE, which is by no means ideal. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit longer than usual, but I wanted to show both approaches for taking out the right shields, both with the bullet hit, and then one with just Zookas where there's not really any heroes used. So the first one you would have seen in this video was sort of like the old school approach, where you don't really need a hero, and then towards the end, obviously showing the version with bullet, which is a bit more of a modern approach, which is a bit more GBE efficient, and that just allows you to have a bit more gunboat energy for like artilleries, barrage, you know, all that sort of stuff. So, of course, this is just one person's opinion, but I feel like that advice is pretty spot on. So, anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know I sort of edited this video together a little bit, which generally isn't my style, but I didn't really want to show me going through Supercell ID and then going through waiting times between the two, and then going to the hits and stuff like that. I didn't really want to show all that. So, anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, smack the thumbs up button. Tell me what you thought in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.